Hey Dethroners, welcome back to another episode of the Dethroning Your Inner Critic podcast. I am your host, Joanna Kleinman, psychotherapist, empowerment coach, and CEO of the Dethroning Your Inner Critic coaching company. And today I want to talk about the 3 obstacles that you will absolutely face when you are changing some part of your life, whether in your personal life or your professional life. So we all have the capacity and the capability to live our most fulfilling and successful lives and really have our dreams come true. Okay. But the thing is, we're not in competition with anyone but our inner critic identity, our automatic selves. So our old identity is really the only thing that can derail us from that life. So there are 3 obstacles that all of us are going to face whenever you're beginning something new. All right. So all these obstacles are associated with your conditioned and automatic mind. That's the mind of your inner critic. So I'm certainly going to share my personal experience with these 3 obstacles and how I coach people through all these obstacles. Okay. So obstacle number 1 is the hard wiring of your brain. Okay. Now our brain is hardwired to avoid change, unpredictability, and uncertainty. So the hard wiring of your brain is going to trigger an automatic mind, okay, to desperately want to find predictability and certainty. Okay. So change and unpredictability and uncertainty become very uncomfortable, both emotionally and physically. So when you're feeling this discomfort because you have no idea where your future is going and who you're going to become and how your life is going to be, I want you to say this affirmation. Now I'm taking it from Florence Scovel Shinn, and here it is. I now expect the unexpected. My amazing life now comes alive. I now expect the unexpected. My amazing life now comes alive. Okay. Now, see, here's why this affirmation is so powerful. Okay. Because most people try to avoid the unexpected. Okay. And the beautiful thing is that our amazing life is really waiting for us to come alive when we understand how to welcome the unexpected. Okay. And to trust that we're going to be okay. Our life is going to be okay, that things are going to work out. Now, most people don't understand. It's actually our energy that changes our reality. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. So we need to understand how to ongoingly shift our energy every single day. And when you're making big changes, when you've got big visions that you're going for, changing your energy every single day can be challenging, right? Because you're waking up right into the unknown. You're staring the unknown into right in the face. And that's where your automatic mind comes in and starts creating all these worst case scenarios and what ifs and trying to convince you that maybe you should just give up on your dream and maybe you should go back to something safe or you should get a different job or, whatever the case may be. Okay. So it takes a long time to really see the full change in your life. But these changes occur over time in micro moments. So you may not really be able to see the full transformation, right? But once you're in that transformation, you can look back and you can see all these little micro moments of change that happen over time. Okay. So with every new step that I've taken in the growth and expansion of myself, my inner critic mind wants to go back to doubting my ability to actually have the future that I envision. Okay. But, a long, long time ago, I made an agreement from my authentic self that no matter what happens, no matter how many times I have to pivot, no matter how much frustration, no matter how many things don't go the way that I want them to, no matter how much uncertainty I'm facing, I'm never going to stop taking the next step. That agreement alone is what transformed my life, right? So I just had to keep mastering my mind along the way. And what ended up happening is that these micro moments strung together over time has changed everything. Okay. But that's because I kept going through the years when I was putting all of my money back into my business, or I was writing my book, which took years to find the right editor and to complete, right? And the years where I was raising my children and dealing with a lot of uncertainty and unknown and frustration. Okay. So I have had to continually manage my energy. And the way that I did that was by tuning into gratitude, self-love, self-compassion, and confidence every single day. Okay. So literally it's like, how you have to brush your teeth in the morning, or you got to get your hair together or put your makeup on. I mean, I really had to tune into these conscious thoughts and these conscious beliefs. Otherwise, my inner critic would have convinced me to give up decades ago. Okay. Now, I do have an advantage, okay, because I have witnessed thousands of people's transformations over my 30-year career as a therapist and a coach, and now with the programs that I create. So I've seen the rebirth of many people. And I can tell you that it is truly one of the most sacred experiences that there is to support someone in their rebirth of themselves and a complete transformation of the life that they're living, right? I've witnessed drug addicts becoming coaches and business owners. I've witnessed executives from multi-billion-dollar companies leave the corporate world. I've witnessed stay-at-home moms becoming millionaires. Okay. We're all capable of rebirth. Okay. And rebirth doesn't have to be anything huge. You could have a rebirth of a 30-year relationship with your partner. You could have a rebirth of a different chapter of a relationship with an adult child. Okay. You could rebirth a new career and move across the country, or rebirth an entire group of soul sister friends. Okay. I've seen all of these things happen, but no matter what you're envisioning for your life, okay, no matter what we're doing, the universal phenomenon when we're doing something new is hesitation. Okay. And that's because of our pesky brain. Our brain is this supercomputer with basically two modes. It's either autopilot or manual. Okay. And we've all experienced our brain on autopilot, right? It's when you drive someplace. Okay. And you get to your destination and you look and you say, how the heck did I even get here? I don't even remember driving. Okay. Our brain directed our hands and feet to operate the car without our knowledge. So many people are on autopilot throughout their entire lives. Okay. They're just focused on getting through the day. And then the day leads to months, and the months lead to years. And then, they get to that last chapter of their life and they have no idea how they got there. And they let their dreams die along the way, which is heartbreaking. Okay. And that's because their automatic brain has been in control. right? Again, that's the brain I call our inner critic mind. Happens way too often. It's a heartbreaking thing to witness, okay? Especially when it's someone you know and love deeply, right? I've witnessed this in my own extended family, okay? And there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to love them and witness their life being stagnant and watch their spirit shrink as the years go by. And, you know, we just have to let go and let God and trust that in this lifetime, their soul was not ready for growth and evolution. And I'm sure that many of you listening to me have been there, where you have people in your life who are, you know, on this exact trajectory, and it's gut wrenching. I know, to watch people stay stuck. Okay. And being stuck comes from that universal survival mechanism of our brain. So to evolve your life, you need to understand how to check out of the autopilot mode of your brain and check into the manual mode. Okay. Now that's using a different part of your brain. It exists in the prefrontal cortex of your brain. That's where your authentic self lives. Okay. And the hard part about checking out of autopilot and into that manual mode is that within 5 seconds of facing uncertainty, your automatic brain wants to stop you. 5 seconds. Okay. So we're never going to feel like facing the unknown. It's never going to get easier. It's never going to get more comfortable. And the more uncertainty you're willing to face, the more uncomfortable it gets. But here's the cool part. If you understand the difference between the automatic mode of your mind and being in manual mode, right? That's when you're in manual mode, you're tuning into your authentic self. When you know how to do that, you can actually direct your thoughts towards that mind of your authentic self. And that is when you can tap into experiences like gratitude for who you are right now, and looking at how far you've come and looking at your life right now, instead of always having that future idea. Once I get there, that's going to be the thing. No, right? We've got to find that energy of gratitude and fulfillment and abundance right now, even if we have no idea what the future is going to look like, right? So whenever we are thinking about the future, it is all fantasy. Okay. When our automatic mind is fantasizing about the unknown, okay, it doesn't feel good. Okay. So we can fantasize about what we want. And sometimes that can feel exciting, but sometimes that can make you feel like there's something lacking in your life now. Okay. But when our authentic self is tuned into gratitude right now, and now from that place, we're looking out into the unknown, that can feel magical. Okay. Because we're not grasping for that future vision to fill some void or fill some experience that in some way we are not enough or our life is not enough. Okay. Now, I would rather feel magical than awful. Okay. And that's how we avoid getting sucked into that hesitation, because we know how to tap into the thoughts and beliefs that exist in that prefrontal cortex, the authentic self mind, to create a future that would not be possible if we stayed stuck in autopilot mode. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You know, you hear this all the time. Our brain stops growing at age 26, but really our brains never stop growing. Okay. So when you've completely rewired a new mind with very different thoughts and very different beliefs that create different energy inside your body, you've actually changed some of the neurobiology of your brain. I mean, how incredible is that, right? You can change your physical brain chemistry by understanding how to unhook yourself from your autopilot mind and use that intentional mind of the authentic self to create your future. And this is exactly how we all have the capacity to live our happiest, most fulfilling, and successful lives and have our dream come true. Okay. But there are two more obstacles that we need to discuss. Okay. So we just talked about your brain, and obstacle number 2 is your past. Now, this is a tough obstacle. Okay. Because we have some very ingrained ideas about who we are now. So if someone asks you the question, who are you? You might automatically answer, well, I'm a mother, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a wife, or I'm a CEO, or, you might answer with certain parts of your personality. I'm creative and kind and funny, and I'm a good friend. But all of these ideas of who you are really just concepts that have been developed by your past. Okay. I know a guy who is the head of a big billion-dollar hedge fund, and he's now in his 60s. He's getting ready to retire, and he's sunken into a very major depression because even though he is successful beyond his wildest dreams and has more money than he knows what to do with, his identity is completely caught up in being the head of this hedge fund. So the irony is, right, sometimes the more success you've had, the more difficult it is to change your perspective, because whatever your identity that has been created from your past, from your level of success, that's probably not the identity that's going to have you experiencing the peace and the joy and the contentment that you really want in your life right now. Okay. That's the irony, right? We want the life we envision because of how we think that life will make us feel. But if we don't understand how to feel that already right now in our current life, then no amount of success or money or love or thinness or whatever it is that we're reaching for, no level of whatever it is that we want is going to do that for us. We actually need to understand how to unhook ourselves from the stories of our past about who we are, about what a successful life looks like. Okay. Many of us have an idea of what a successful life looks like because we learned that at a very young age from our culture. Okay. There's a woman in my Mastering Your Mind community who has built an incredible life. She has 4 grown children who are fulfilled and thriving. She has a wonderful and supportive husband. She's relocated to her dream home. And when she first came into the Mastering Your Mind program, she felt like a failure because she had a certain level, a certain idea of what success was supposed to look like. Right. And she was living her dream life that she worked hard to create. Okay. But she didn't, there were certain measures and certain criteria that she didn't have, and many of you know that creating that kind of life ongoingly, right? The relationships that you want, launching 4 kids into the adult world, right? That's like some of the hardest work that you'll ever have to do. Okay. To the point where, right, it brings you to your knees sometimes. And we don't even take the time to give ourselves credit for that, right? Because we have these conditioned ideas of what success is supposed to look like. So even when we're living our biggest dreams and we've got these wonderful relationships with our spouses and our adult children are doing fabulously, right? If we're focused on that one idea from our past about what success is supposed to be, we will miss the abundance that's right in front of us. Okay. So we've got to keep focusing on how far we've come, who we already are, and having gratitude for that life that we've created, and finding the parts of ourselves that we love and appreciate right now, and having compassion for the parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily love, because we understand that all human beings are designed very similarly. Okay. So we don't need to get triggered by our own behavior issues that sometimes are from our past. And we don't have to get so triggered by other people's behavior. Okay. Because sometimes other people can just trigger us right into those old wounds and old feelings of being unloved or not important or not mattering. We take things so personally, right? And that is because we don't know how to change the stories of our past so that we see ourselves and other people and the life that we're living through a completely different lens. Okay. If we're looking at our life and at other people through those same old lenses that were designed by our inner critic stories that originated in our past, we're going to keep finding those same stories over and over again, even if our circumstances change, right? So I've seen this a lot, okay, where your whole life either stays the same, even though your circumstances change, because you're still seeing the world through the same lenses. I've also seen hundreds of times people's entire lives changed because they've changed the lenses through which they look at life. So their circumstances don't even really change all that much, but their sense of themselves, their experience of the people that they love, their experience of the life that they're living just shifts dramatically. Okay. So that's really the only thing that we need to do is understand how to change our lenses. Okay. And that's how you become a completely different person. But changing your lenses of your past is not easy work, because you have to be willing to see the old lenses that have been invisible to you and take ownership that you're the one that created those lenses. Okay. Now, this is where that third obstacle comes into play, which is fear. So if you're a human being, you have some primal fear that's lurking in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is the mind of your inner critic. And sometimes that fear is buried so deep within us because we've been running away from it for so long. So like the case of the guy who was the head of the hedge fund, right? He had no idea that what was really at the heart of his depression was a fear that he would become irrelevant. And his fear of irrelevancy was from a long, long time ago. And it was actually what drove his success. This happens so often. Our biggest fears are actually the shadow that has us over-functioning and overcompensating, and it can very often lead to our success. But if we don't understand that that's the shadow side of ourselves, and we don't understand how to recognize it and again unhook ourselves from it, we can build incredible lives and have almost no gratitude for what we've created. Okay. So when our biggest goals are driven by our inner critic, that's when we believe that once we get to the goal, that's going to be the thing that's going to, make us finally feel the way that we want to feel. Okay. So overcoming the obstacle of fear is about understanding what your inner critic's core wounds are, where they came from, what triggers those wounds, and being able to see your wounds as just part of your human machinery instead of something that you need to numb yourself from, run away from, disprove, overcome. Because I don't care where you get to in your life, that doesn't happen. Doesn't matter how successful you become. Doesn't matter how deeply you're loved. Doesn't matter how many dreams you fulfill. If you don't know how to identify and unhook yourself from that core shadow wound, there's going to be nothing out there in the world that's going to fulfill you. So the capacity to live our happiest, most fulfilling and successful life is not about having our dreams come true. It's the opposite. Our dreams come true when we know how to live our happiest and most fulfilling and successful life right now. Then from that place of wholeness, of fulfillment, of deep joy and gratitude and peace, that's when we then take the steps that are going to lead us towards those dreams. Okay. So second to the heartbreak of watching someone not take action towards their dreams is watching someone who has built their dream and can't feel peace, joy, and fulfillment. I see this all the time too. Okay. Matthew Perry, he's just a perfect example of the phenomenon of this, right? He set out to become rich and famous and could never find the peace he thought it would bring and died at such a tragic young age. So here's the bottom line. If you are always going to have these three obstacles, which you are, your brain, your past, and your fear that comes from your core wound, how do you navigate these three obstacles? Because navigating those obstacles is going to determine the future that you are living into. Many people think they're living into their future, but really they're just living into their past because it's their past-based self that's navigating their life. So we need to know how to use a completely different part of our brain to tune into a completely rewired mind that gives us a whole new lens through which we can see ourselves, through which we see other people, and through which we see what's truly possible for us and the life that we're really capable of designing. There is nothing more thrilling than supporting someone in overcoming these three obstacles and to learn how to be reborn into the person that they're supposed to be, to have the relationships that they've longed to have, to make the money they've longed to make, to have the life that they know is available to them. Okay. It is a high that is indescribable when someone really creates that different life. So if you'd like to discover how the Mastering Your Mind program can change your life, I'd love to connect with you. You can go to my website, dethroningyourinnercritic.com, schedule some time to connect with me, and we'll explore whether we're a fit for you to get the support to deal with these three obstacles and change your life. Thanks for listening, everybody.